I'm Nikita and this is Nicholas. We are both grade 12 students here at Spruce View School. And we will both be your members of ceremony, masters of ceremony for this service. Before we begin, we would like to remind everyone that this is a solemn occasion. Please refrain from talking or whispering throughout the ceremony and ensure that all electronic devices are turned off. Also, please remember that applause is not appropriate during this ceremony.
Would everyone please stand as Piper Michael McLeod pipes on the Innisfail Legion Branch number 104 color party, and please remain standing for the singing of O Canada. Sergeant at Arms.
Sir!
March on the colors.
Color party, attention! Color party, the sharp trail, carrying colors. Color party, quick march!
Deposit the colors.
Deposit colors.
The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month is Remembrance Day in Canada. Canadians remember those who paid the supreme sacrifice in many ways. We are encouraged to not only remember the veterans of the many conflicts, including World War I, World War II, Korea, Afghanistan, and United Nations peacekeeping operations throughout the world, but also those who continue to serve under Canada's flag, wherever our troops are needed, and to help those in need of stability and caring.
Why remember? If we do not, the sacrifice of those 100,000 Canadian lives will be meaningless. They died for us, for their homes and families and friends, for a collection of traditions they cherished and a future and they believed in. They died for Canada. The meaning of their sacrifice rests with our collective national consciousness. Our future, our freedom is their monument. We as Canadians have a great history of standing up for what is right and not being afraid of the challenges we may face. We're thankful for what our veterans have done for us, and we are proud of those who in the name of justice sacrificed their lives so that we may stand here today and say that we are free, proud Canadians. I would now like to invite Robin Watson and Ryan DeCroon to introduce two of our special guests.
Mary Verbund grew up in Holland during World War II. She grew up in a family of 13 in a town called Dongen in the southern part of Holland. This town was about the size of Innisfil. She lived in a 4-bedroom house with an attic. The German soldiers would pick people off the street to help them. A lot of the area farm boys would have to work at the local airport with their horses and wagons. They would have to dig trenches and haul bricks to rebuild things that had been bombed. When the Allies bombed the airport, the workers and the Germans would have to jump into the trenches for cover. Some of the horses would be so scared they would run home. Their dad would tell her brothers to stay home so they wouldn't be picked up by the Germans. During the war, they had enough food because they had a farm, and they made their own cheese and butter. But they weren't supposed to do this, so they had to hide it. They took the cheese over to the neighbor's place for processing because they were not farmers and would not be checked. If the inspector found out that you were making butter or cheese, they took it away or dumped it in the sewer. Farmers always had to try to hide their supplies to keep for their own families. Some farmers would raise calves and pigs inside a hollow haystack. They could still buy groceries with coupons that the government gave them, but they were limited to what they could buy. They were not able to buy things like coffee and tea. Their dad would buy yeast by the pound and make 52 loaves of bread every week. The Germans had an ammunition storage facility in a nearby barn. The Dutch underground blew up the barn and killed 20 German soldiers, but also killed several innocent people, including 4 young men from her town who were friends of her husband. The Germans would launch their V-1 rockets. You could hear them roaring overhead, and when the noise quit, you had to take cover as they would fall from the sky and explode where they landed. She can remember, one afternoon, they were outside looking up into the sky when they saw hundreds and hundreds of airplanes. They found out later those Allied planes were flying to Operation Market Garden, a famous battle of World War II. In the final days, the Germans blew up numerous bridges and airports to slow down the Allied advance. She remembers standing in the yard with her hands over her ears. They had to sleep in the cellar of their house for 11 days, and someone from her family would always have to keep watch at night, in case the fighting got too close. Her brother was almost hit by a stray bullet that came through the wall of their house. One morning, they went outside and there were dead soldiers, both German and Allied, laying everywhere. They were liberated. The Canadians liberated the area to the north. After the war, there were 6 men who lost either one or both of their legs from German landmines. 2 brothers were cutting hay on a river dike. When their mower hit a tank mine, they were killed instantly. Mary and her husband immigrated to Canada in 1952, 7 years after the war. The Dutch people are very thankful to all who helped in the liberation. They celebrate this Day of Liberation every year on the 5th of May. We will always remember.
Doug Horrell was born in Hantsport, Nova Scotia, and attended school in Halifax, Nova Scotia. In 1942, during the Second World War, he joined the cadets at the age of 11. This was a compulsory obligation at the time. No one knew how long the war would last, and military training was deemed important for everyone. He served 5 years in the Army Cadets and 1 year in the Air Cadets. Mr. Horrell then joined the Reserve Army for 1 year before joining the Royal Canadian Signals in 1949. In 1951, he volunteered to go to Korea and also spent time in Japan. In the fall of 1952, he transferred to the Royal Canadian Air Force, serving across Canada. Mr. Horrell's service trade was in a communications role. He retired as foreman of signals in 1979, then joined the Primary Communications Reserve in Red Deer for a further 2 years. The Canadian Armed Forces needed ready reserves to replace those full-time personnel serving on peacekeeping duties, and so he served an additional 6 years. He retired in 1966 at the age of 65. His total service to the Queen and country accounts for 44 years of his life. He enjoyed military life and found it very rewarding to have served our great country of Canada. He is now retired and lives in Innisfil with his wife Joyce. They have raised 3 daughters and 2 sons and have lived in the community for 36 years. As a part of his duties as service officer for the Royal Canadian Legion, he assists disabled service personnel and dependents who require assistance in obtaining disability pensions from Veterans Affairs of Canada. In 2002, for his devotion to this task, he received the Minister of Veterans Affairs Commendation, which is awarded to those who contribute to the well-being of veterans or to the remembrance of the contributions, sacrifices, and achievement of veterans. Thank you, Mr. Cole.
At this time, I would like to invite the representatives from grade 4 to 12 to come and light the peace candles.
We light this candle for those who are less fortunate than we are. May we continue to do our best to support them in their times of need.
We light this candle so that the nations of the world who believe in freedom, democracy, and peace will continue to fight for our freedom.
We light this candle so that everyone throughout the world may know peace and freedom as we do here in Canada.
We light this candle for Canada, our country which is known worldwide as a peacekeeping nation.
We light this candle so that we will be examples of peacemakers within our Spruce View community and the community of Spruce View.
We light this candle so that we will treat others as we want to be treated with respect and consideration.
We light this candle so that we as students will act as ambassadors of peace in our school environment, whether in the classroom, on the bus, or on the playground.
We light this candle so we all may be instruments of peace within our own families, sharing, loving, and forgiving. We light this candle for peace in our hearts. Bravely singing fly.
Post and rouse are traditional bugle signals in military life. The last post signals the end of the day and is also used as a symbol of death. In this ceremony, it is played for those who have died while serving our country.
Rouse is the signal that the day is beginning. In this ceremony, it follows the last post as a symbol that the memory of the dead will live on, and therefore, life triumphs over death.
We will now play the last post. It will be followed by 2 minutes of silence for us to remember those who have fought for the freedoms that we enjoy. We would ask that you please do not talk or fidget during these 2 minutes of silence. After 2 minutes, the silence will be broken by the Piper's Lament and then rouse. Will you please stand? lighting of Red Deer Mountain View. Rick Lorenz for the County of Red Deer. Connie Huelsman and Sean Russell for Chinook's Edge School Division. Spruce View Firefighters. Dick Fozier for the Glendale Elks. Miss Levac and Lois Birkenshaw for the Spruce View Lions Club. Heidi Massicott for the Brent Lake Gas Co-op. Clint Nissen for the Bethany Lutheran Church and the local food bank. And Pastor Russ Howard for Craig Lutheran Church.
If I can't breathe, I'll inhale every single memory. If I can't stand, I'll imagine your hands around my waist, holding on tight. I'll lean on you one last time. If I can't sleep, I'll remind myself you're watching over me. If I can't move, I'll remember you. So joyful and full of life, knowing you still want me to live mine. And I'll be strong, even though you're gone. I can't imagine ever moving on. not alone. I've got friends and family. Yeah, I'll make it through, 'cause I loved you, and I've got these memories. So I'll be strong, even though you're gone. I can't imagine ever moving on. It seems no matter what I do, tomorrow always comes. So I'll carry on and be just strong. I know you'd want me to carry on and be just strong. God save our gracious Queen. Long live our noble Queen. God save the Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the Queen.
Sergeant at Arms,
Work.
march off the colors.
Calibrating. Right. Turn. Calibrating. Quick. Work.
Please be seated. We would like to thank the Innisfail Legion Branch 104 Color Party for participating in our service, the grade 4 to 8 participants in the candle ceremony, and special guests from our community, as well as the kindergarten to grade 3 students for making our wreaths.
Thank you for remembering with us. High school students will now return to their regular classes, and kindergarten to grade 8 students will go out for a short